Now usually I take my time when I do this.
Shalom, Shalom, Jumbo, Konnichiwa, Hola, and what it do? Welcome back to another edition of Real Talk with Yehuda. Yeah, so let's get right to it. Today's topic, polygyny, concubine versus girlfriend. So, y'all know I mentioned in some of my videos, I talk about, the single mothers, the whoredom and the problems going on amongst the black community, and if anyone has been following me a little bit, I usually stay focused mostly on the Hebrew Israelite community. You know what I'm saying? Those that have forsaken the former ways and the pagan ways and have returned to the covenant that the Most High made with our forefathers, Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. That's Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, for those that don't know, right? And that covenant was given at Mount Sinai through Moses, Momo. You know what I'm saying? We tight like that, so, I like to call him Momo. It's my Uncle Momo. But anyways, in all reality, you know what I'm saying? That covenant was made with our forefathers at Mount Sinai. And so basically, for those that understand, we are in the situation that we in as far as the black community because we have forsaken that covenant. We have not kept our end of the bargain. And when we study our history and, the Most High reveals things to us, then what we find out is that our people in former times were glorified to the number one position. The Most High kept his end of the bargain. He made a covenant with us, you know what I'm saying? And he blessed us with abundance in all things, But we have not kept our end of the bargain, which caused us to be sold into slavery as punishment for rebelling against the Most High. And now we find ourselves here in 2016 and we look around and it's like, man, what is going on? What the hell is wrong with our people? And it's simple. We have rebelled against the Most High, and this is part of the punishment. So now it's like you got brothers like myself and others, that are waking up or already awake and trying to wake other brothers up. And so in part of this, it brings me to today's topic on polygyny, concubine versus girlfriend. So, I've mentioned some of this in other videos about the problems going on and how the sisters is out here basically being whores and harlots. You know what I'm saying? And the insanity that goes on in the American woman's mind, more specifically the American black woman. And I know y'all be getting mad, and there's some sisters y'all be getting in my inbox or whatever, like, oh, so that's how you feel, huh? Blah, blah, blah. Listen, baby, humble yourself. Because if it don't apply to you, then you wouldn't even be offended. But the fact that you offended means it apply to you, all right? That's number one. Number two, which really could be number one, I'm a grown-ass man. So, baby, I don't know who you think you talking to, but you ain't fixing to be rolling up trying to check me or talk to me any kind of old way. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm a grown man and don't no woman talk to me like that. I ain't finna let no brothers roll up on me and talk any kind of sideways. You know what I'm saying? And that ain't me trying to be tough or nothing like that, or no thug or no gangster mentality or nothing. It's just straight up, yo, I'm a man. You gonna respect me as a man. And when it's another man, I'm gonna respect him as a man. You know what I'm saying? And women need to understand, y'all want the protection of men. You know what I'm saying? And guess what? Along with that protection comes your humility and your submission to the authority of men. But see, this wicked Babylon that we in, it got y'all women all crazy in your head because this white man system, Edom system, you know what I'm saying, basically got you women running around here just acting all kinds of crazy, you know what I mean? Where basically y'all don't have no respect for the brothers. You know what I'm saying? And I don't in any kind of way condone violence. You know what I'm saying? But that's part of the problem, which is leading me to today's discussion on polygyny. So I know y'all like, all right, well, come on, let's get to the polygyny, right? Let's talk about this. But to really, you know what I'm saying? To really get into the subject, we got to understand what the problems are and why we in this situation, right? So we know we in this situation because we've rebelled against the Most High. We haven't kept our end of the covenant, our end of the bargain. You feel what I'm saying? And so now all of these things we see, they just byproducts. You know what I'm saying? It's like symptoms. It's not the disease, it's the symptoms. So a lot of times what we keep trying to do is we want to treat the sneeze, or we want to treat the cough, but we don't want to get to the heart of the problem. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it's about on Real Talk with Yehuda. I try to get to the root of the problem, you know what I'm saying? To basically try to lay the axe to the root. And I know a lot of you wicked ass brothers and you wicked sisters don't be wanting to hear that. And so with you sisters that be getting in my inbox and stuff like that, number one, y'all need to humble yourselves and be in y'all place, because part of the reason, like the main problem with y'all goes to Isaiah chapter 3, you know what I'm saying? Starting at verse 15. Moreover, saith the Most High, because the daughters of Zion are haughty. And that's the problem with you sisters, you're haughty. And a lot of y'all will sit up there. It's funny because I done had sisters that be like, I ain't haughty, blah, blah, blah. And I don't be acting all ratchet and stuff. And it's like, your response just proved my point, because haughty doesn't mean that you behave ratchet. Haughty means that you're arrogant, you're boastful, you're puffed up, you're prideful, you're stuck up, you're snobbish, you refuse correction. That's haughty. You're full of yourself. Yeah, that's the average American black woman, haughty. And when brothers try to give y'all correction, you don't want to hear it. Now, as far as you wicked ass brothers, y'all are whoremongers. You know what I'm saying? And I deal with y'all more on some other videos. I know I didn't talked about it a little bit, but you know, getting into this topic on polygyny is a necessity, basically. You know what I'm saying, to touch on that. The sisters, y'all are haughty, and a lot of you brothers is whoremongers. And that's where a lot of these symptoms are coming from, because we acting wicked. You know what I'm saying? And so we getting just punishment for the wicked behavior. You know what I mean? Now, getting into this, a lot of you haughty sisters, I ain't no concubine, and you know what I'm saying? Nah, I ain't gonna that it. And it's like, yo, you need to humble yourself. You don't even know what the hell you're talking about. Because see, a lot of you silly women that'll want to sit there and basically blaspheme or talk down on or look down on the position of a concubine, y'all be the same ones that'll glorify being a girlfriend. And anybody that understands anything with the scripture, understands any Hebraic, African, Shemitic, Eastern culture, would understand that a concubine is actually an honored position, whereas a girlfriend, you're basically just a whore. You're a harlot. But y'all sisters' minds is so twisted. You enjoy being called a girlfriend, and you enjoy being girlfriends, yet you despise a concubine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually get into some definitions here. All right. I'm going to get into some definitions. Now, for those that understand and are awake and understand we are the children of Yasharal, the children of Israel, Hebrews by ethnicity, right? You will understand that our heritage and our identity was basically hijacked. And this was also part of the punishment for us rebelling against the Most High. The scripture tells us that we would discontinue. we would be stripped of the heritage that the Most High gave us, and it would be given to another people until these end days. So we look at the quote unquote Jewish community. Well, guess what? Because of our disobedience, the Most High stripped us of our heritage, and the Most High gave it to these people. So the definition I'm going to be reading to you is coming out of the Encyclopedia Judaica, okay? And we're going to talk about a concubine from the Hebrew perspective, from the biblical understanding, what a concubine is. Now, I'm not going to read this entire definition. Like I said, I mean, it's coming out of an encyclopedia, basically, and it is like a really, really in-depth, extensive definition of a concubine and things like that. So let's get into it. I'm going to read a little bit of it. The beginning, concubine, marital companion, okay? A marital companion. So if you had half of a brain and understood anything and had comprehension, then you would automatically know a concubine is a wife. She is a wife, okay? Now it lets you know of inferior status to a full wife. Now, why would a concubine be considered as a marital companion, basically a wife, but inferior to a wife? What's up with that? So we need to understand the difference here. So let's get into it. In the Bible, right? I'm still reading from the Encyclopedia Judaica. All right. In the Bible, the term in Hebrew is pilegesh, the equivalent of the Greek palakis and Latin pelex. Among the Assyrians, the concubine EC2 can gain the rank of a wife only after the veiling ceremony conducted by her spouse, if he so chose to elevate her. And this is going into like the Assyrian code. I'm not going to keep going into all of that and the legal formalities. You know, like I said, this definition is extensive. All right. But in the Bible, a concubine did not always reside in her husband's home. The reference given here in the Encyclopedia Judaica is Judges chapter 8, verse 31. But, okay, such was not the general rule. So this does not have to be a rule that the concubine does not reside in the home of her spouse. Okay, but we see biblical examples of how things were done. So number one, a concubine is a wife. Okay. And sometimes the concubine does not reside in the same household as the husband, but it's not the general rule. And we see another biblical example in the book of Judges, chapters 19 through 20. Okay, so there's many other examples of concubines. I'll just kind of scroll through some of this. Like I said, this definition is extensive, but there were some famous concubines mentioned in the Bible. You have Rizpah, who was one of King Shaul's concubines. You can see that in 2 Samuel chapter 3, verse 7. You find out about the famous concubine Ketubah, who was raped and murdered by men of the tribe of Benjamin, right? We understand that brought about basically like a war between Israel. Basically, you know, the other men and tribes of Israel gathered together against Benjamin for this great sin. Basically, if you're not familiar, if you're an Israelite, you should know what's going on. If not, you need to study to show yourself approved. But for those that don't know, Ketubah was basically the concubine of a priest. Okay, so even Levites and priests had concubines. All right, so we need to understand that, wives and concubines. All right, even the priests had concubines, right? So Ketubah was basically raped by multiple men from the tribe of Benjamin, you know, which is pretty disgusting. But they raped this woman to death. So, I mean, how bad was that rape? I mean, they raped her to death. You know what I'm saying? So her rape and murder brought about the death of 25,000 men from the tribe of Benjamin. Right. So, you know, let's continue in this definition here. Royal concubines were standard among the kings of Yasharal and Yehuda. That's the kings of Israel and Judah, right? Just as any ancient Near Eastern kingdom, okay? And there was a clear distinction from the wives, and there's, some scriptural references given, in 2 Samuel chapter 5, 1 Kings chapter 11, 2 Chronicles chapter 11, and so on and so on. So basically, like, a concubine is a wife, but why would she be separated basically from being just considered a wife? Now we're gonna skip down to here. According to Jewish law, we know this should be like really Hebrew law and stuff like that, according to the scriptures. But again, our heritage was stripped and given to another people, so that's something we got to deal with. But a concubine may be defined by Jewish laws as a woman dedicating herself to a particular man with whom she cohabits, basically without a Ketubah. Now, for those of the Hebrew Israelites, should understand basically like a Ketubah. And I know it's a lot of wicked women that be asking for a Ketubah that really, in all truth, do not qualify to even have a Ketubah. They do not qualify to be a full wife. And this is what this topic is going to be dealing with today, right? A concubine versus a girlfriend. Because it keeps on being a bunch of these wicked women out here that are haughty and have this twisted mentality in their head, thinking, oh no, I ain't gonna be nobody's concubine, blah, 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 and I'm a wife, that's it. No, baby, you're haughty. And this is why the Most High is judging you women. That's why a lot of this stuff is going on, because you women are boastful and arrogant and prideful and haughty, and you have not humbled yourselves. So I'm going to read here a standard Ketubah. Now, what needs to be understood is this Ketubah is nothing to play with. This is serious. So rather than going to the state and asking for a marriage license, what happens even today among Jewish communities is they will get married with a Ketubah. Now, a Ketubah is a legally binding contract of marriage. This is nothing to play with. A Ketubah stands up in court. So if there was ever some sort of a divorce or marital problems or anything like that, and it went to court before a judge, the Ketubah would stand. So I'm going to read a standard Ketubah. Here we go. This Ketubah marriage contract is from our ancestor Simon ben Shattah, who lived during the 1st century BCE. Now, here's the wording of the Ketubah. On the blank day of the month blank, right? You're going to fill in the blanks. In the year blank, since the creation of the universe, the era according to which we are wont to reckon. Here in the town of blank, how blank, the son of blank. And here's where the Ketubah really holds its weight and proves the point between wife and concubine, and we'll get to this girlfriend thing later, right? The son of blank said to this virgin blank, where the woman, the young maiden, the virgin's name would go, daughter of blank, where her father's name would go. Be thou my wife in accordance with the law of Moses and Israel, and I will labor for thee, honor, maintain, and support thee according to the custom of Hebrew husbands who toil for their wives. Honor, maintain, and support them in integrity. And I will set aside for thee blank, which would be the price for a virgin. So this is where the virginity price that we see in scripture would go. So I will set aside for thee blank, lieu of thy virginity. Yeah. So this right here shuts down 99% of you sisters. Y'all ain't virgins. You don't have your virginity. Thus, a Ketubah does not even apply to you. the term wife does not apply to you in accordance with the law of the Most High given to Israel through Moses, and according to the custom of Hebrew husbands. You women don't qualify as wives. You qualify as a concubine, which is the purpose and the topic of this discussion today. Concubines versus girlfriend. Guess what? A concubine is an honorable position and an honorable term. Because as we've already read, according to the Encyclopedia Judaica, which is according to Hebrew law, according to the law of the Most High and the Bible, the scriptures, a concubine is a marital companion, a wife. But she does not qualify on the same level as a full wife with a Ketubah because she's not a virgin. In order to get a Ketubah, in order to get the price of a virgin paid, in order to be elevated to the status of a full wife, a woman according to the Most High and according to the scriptures, which is the word of the Most High, the woman has to be a virgin. So anytime the woman is not a virgin coming into the relationship, all right, if honor is to be done, if you're dealing with a righteous man, because that's the problem. Most of you sisters keep dealing with thugs and goons and these whoremongers. Y'all ain't dealing with no righteous brothers. So if y'all was dealing with righteous men, guess what? Then that man should be ready to wife you up. And if you're not a virgin, that means you fall into the category of concubine. This man still takes you as a wife. This man is still a husband to you. But guess what? All of these virginity bridal terms, they don't apply to you. Let's keep reading this Ketubah, and then I'm going to go back to the Encyclopedia Judaica, and we're going to keep reading these definitions and this information. All right. And I will set aside for thee lieu of thy virginity, which are thine in accordance with the law of Moses, and thy sustenance, clothing, and necessities, and live with thee in congenial relationship in accordance with universal custom. Now, pause. We're going to go straight to the scriptures to see what is being mentioned here in this Ketubah. Okay? Because it's saying sustenance and, clothing and necessities and, the conjugal relationship. We're going to see from the Bible what's being talking about or what's being spoken of here. So I got my Bible right here. I'm going to flip over because this is serious. I don't want to misquote anything. We're going to make sure that we get this exactly right. Now, the book of Exodus, chapter 21. This is dealing with basic marriage understanding, laws, what a husband's responsibility is, especially in the realm of polygyny, if a man has, more than one wife, etc. So we're going to go right here to Exodus chapter 21, verse 10. If he take him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish. Verse 11. And if he do not these three unto her, then she shall go out free without money. So this is where this particular clause, if you will, in the Ketubah is coming from. Okay. So it's saying, in accordance with the law and the custom of Hebrew men, husbands, right? The man is saying, listen, I'm going to take this virgin to be my wife. She's agreeing to be my wife, right? Now, we understand it along with this custom, or if y'all don't understand, I'm going to fill you in. What's supposed to happen is either the man himself, the man's father, or a representative of the family would go to the virgin's father, and an agreement would be made that this man is looking for the wife, or, your daughter is being considered for this particular man and his family, and honor was done. And if the family was an honorable family, if the young man or older man, right, whatever, the man of Israel, if he was an honorable man, then the father of the young virgin would grant permission for this man to marry his daughter. And then these terms would be agreed to. This was standard. It was understood according to the scriptures and according to Hebrew custom. So the man would provide the price for a virgin, and the man would agree that he's going to work and provide and support his wife, who's a virgin, right? And he's making sure and promising that her sustenance, that means her food, her clothing and necessities, right? Her raiment, and live with her in conjugal relationship. That means sex, intimacy. So he's promising he gonna make sure she eating, he gonna make sure she's clothed, and he's gonna make sure that she is getting the intimacy that women need. That don't mean smash and dash. That means real intimacy. That's, you know what I'm saying? And I guess in our modern terms, we could say that's date night. That's, you know, holding hands, that's cuddling, that's husband-wife time, which of course means sex, right? That's what a husband is required to do. Food, clothing, intimacy. And because this woman is a virgin, she gets the honor of being a full status wife with the Ketubah, the honorable Hebrew marriage contract. And this man is promising to do his job as a husband. So let's continue reading this. We just read, and thy sustenance, clothing, and necessities, and live with thee in conjugal relationship in accordance with universal custom. And this virgin concurred and became his wife. The dower or dowry, this is where we hear about the dowry and things like that. This is what you guys need to understand. The dowry is not anything that the man actually provides to the woman or what the man would provide to the woman's father. No, this is the dowry. We're about to read this. The dowry which she brought from her father's home in silver, gold, raiment, and bedclothes amounts to blank in this ketubah. And that number would be filled in. So y'all supposed to understand what's supposed to go on in righteousness and according to the scripture. The man would have to provide the father with the price of a bride, the price of a virgin. So the man would have to prove himself a man, basically, and provide this financial ability to take a virgin. And this would be given to the father. Then the father, in essence, would basically, from his substance, give to his daughter to take into the marriage silver, gold, clothing, necessities that she would need to have a successful family. So that the family, the husband and the wife, ain't supposed to be starting out with nothing or coming into the marriage with nothing, struggling. And that's the problem that we keep seeing among our communities, is that our ancestors failed us. Our elders failed us. And that might seem harsh, but it's true. How many of you, right? Now, if you've heard in some of my other videos, I'm 34 years old. How many of you in my age group or a little bit older, when you left from your mother and father's house, there was substance given to you, inheritance divided out to you, so that you went into the world having something to build with? How many? The answer is probably none. Now, we understand there might be a couple here and there, but in reality, among our communities, the answer is none. So we leaving out from our mother and father's house or homes or whatever with nothing. And then we out here in the streets, and it's only natural as a man to want a woman. It's natural as a woman to want a man. But we're so dysfunctional. We don't understand that the woman is supposed to remain in her father's house until she gets a husband, and she's to remain a virgin in her father's house until she gets a husband. And the man is supposed to get to the age of 20, right? Now, I'm not going to pull up every scripture. That's on y'all to go and study and show yourselves approved. But the scripture lets you know, you can even go to the book of Deuteronomy, lets you know that a man is not considered, or a male is not considered a man until the age of 20. So, we see here in this Babylon, in this white man system, it tell you 18. That's incorrect. The word of the Most High says 20. And if you understand in the Hebraic understanding, that's really getting all the way into like 21, when you would be considered to be fully 20. That's the time that you become a man. Now, we see that in this white man system because you got to be 21 to buy liquor, right? So that was to be understood that a male is considered a man at the age of basically 21, when he's fully 20. And what would happen is the man should have substance from his father's home so that he could start his own family. Now, a lot of times in the Hebraic custom, the man wouldn't actually even leave his father's home because he would be working for his father in whatever the father business and the family business was, because he would understand that when his father died, he would get an inheritance from that. And it would maintain, the land and property from generation to generation. So what would happen when this man would become fully 20, then he could start embarking on things that maybe, he wants to do. And he would have substance. He would have basically investment from his father. So he wasn't starting with nothing. He would be starting out having substance to start his life and start his family. And so this would go towards the price of his bride. And then the bride from her father's house would be coming into the marriage with something. So the husband and the wife would be coming together with substance. So they ain't starting out with nothing. Now let's keep reading this, right? So she's coming in with silver, gold, valuables, raiment, bedclothes, and it amounts to blank in the Ketubah. Whatever that price would be filled in. And blank, right, the husband, the bridegroom, agreed to enlarge this amount from his own possessions with the sum of, and it would be blank, right? They both coming together with some money starting out, making a total of blank. That total will be put down, and thus the bridegroom undertakes and his heirs after him the responsibility of this marriage contract, of the dower and of the supplementary sum, so that this shall be a charge. Okay, so you need to understand what's supposed to happen. They would come in with something. The husband, being the head and the leader, would take this money, these possessions, and it would be in his care and in his charge to basically take that and prosper for his family. And in understanding that he would have heirs coming after, he would have children, male sons, and that at his time of death, his property and everything would be divided out. And the bridegroom has undertaken the responsibility for all the obligations of this marriage contract, as is usage with other marriage contracts made on the behalf of the daughters of Israel, in accordance with the establishments of the sages, whose memory will be for an increasing. It must be symbolic delivery between the bridegroom and the virgin daughter, and have employed by a means legally suited for et object to fortify everything that is stated here above, and all is licit and confirmed. The bridegroom and the bride and two witnesses would sign this marriage contract, this ketubah. Now, let's get back to the Encyclopedia Judaica. So y'all should understand, from the biblical perspective, the ways, the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. For a woman to be a wife, she must be a virgin. And when she was a virgin, there was an order to things. The virgin would be betrothed. That's the point where they come together and make an agreement between the families and the contract drawn up. The contract would be signed and everything. That was the betrothal. The woman was still a virgin. The man had not gone into her yet. The man would go and prepare everything for her. And typically in Hebrew culture, this betrothal period would be 1 year. So that means if the husband needed to go and add on to his house, or if he hadn't yet built the house, which normally that wouldn't be, because a man would already supposed to have a house before he even looking for a bride. But whatever things needed to be prepared for this woman to join his household, that man would go and do. And once that year was over, typically, sometimes it could be a little less or whatever, but typically it would be about a year, the betrothal phase. Then that man would come and be like, hey, all is in order. I'm ready to go into my wife. There would be a wedding feast. the wedding feast would happen and the man would take his bride into the bridal chamber, basically a sukkah, a tent that was specially set up for this occasion, and he would go into his virgin wife for the first time. Now, I'm going to pause one more time and we're going to go back to the scriptures because we need to make sure that we're doing everything according to the scriptures. We don't have time for everybody's feelings and emotions and opinions. Everybody got an opinion. It ain't about your opinion. It's about what the Most High said. And this is why we have these problems going on in our communities. It's why the women are whores. It's why most of you wicked ass men are whoremongers. Because you're not doing what the Most High has commanded. You're not acting and living according to the ways of the Most High. You're being whores and whoremongers. And this whoredom among Israel must stop. It's not supposed to be this whoredom going on amongst Israel, amongst the quote-unquote black community. But unfortunately it is. And now brothers like myself and many other brothers on YouTube and Facebook and social media, we calling this whoredom out. And it's not just the women being whores, because guess what? As I've mentioned in videos before, and this is for you women that want to be getting in my inbox or something, or want to be, saying something slick. Oh, why don't you say something about the men? No, let's deal with you first. You let me worry about talking to the men. You humble yourself and stay in your place. The men are talk amongst the men. But in all fairness, here it is for the men. Stop being whoremongers. Because guess what? At one point, that woman was a virgin. At one point, that woman was a virgin. She was a newborn baby. She was a young daughter. She was a virgin as a teenager. And one of you wicked ass brothers took that girl's virginity and you didn't marry her. And then, whether she got pregnant by you or not, you left her ass. And then guess what? All hell broke loose from there. Now multiple men have gone in and out of that woman, and you wicked brothers have caused that woman to be a whore. So the men must take responsibility. You go into that woman, you need to marry that woman. But let's get to this scripture. Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 13. If any man take a wife and go in unto her and hate her. So we need to be understanding, why would a man take a wife, go in her, and hate her? Let's keep getting this scripture. Verse 14, and give occasions of speech against her, and bring up an evil name upon her, and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not a maid. That's why the brother would hate her. He took this woman, went in her, and she ain't a virgin. And because she wasn't a virgin, she probably acting all kind of crazy and unruly, and the man couldn't take it no more, and it made him hate her. Verse 15, then shall the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city and the gate. Now, this goes back to the whole Ketubah, the marriage feast and the ceremony and things like that according to righteousness. When that man would go in to his wife for the first time, what was supposed to happen is there would be like white bed sheets and everything for the first time. And the man would go into this virgin woman, quote unquote, pop her cherry, for lack of better terms. Y'all know what I mean. And the proof of this woman's virginity would be on the sheets. The father and mother would go in to the bridal chamber the next day and collect those sheets. And those would be the tokens of her virginity, proof that when this man gave his daughter in marriage, that she was a virgin. So let's keep reading. Verse 16. And the damsel's father shall say unto the elders, I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hated her. Verse 17, and lo, he hath given occasions of speech against her, saying, I found not thy daughter a maid, and yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity. And they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city. And the elders of that city shall take that man and chastise him. Chastising means they strap your ass up to a whipping pole and give you lashes on your back. And see, if we were still living according to righteousness, this would stop all of you wicked ass men from running up in these women, taking a virginity and running off. If you knew that your ass was about to get whipped, but that ain't happening. Because in Edom's wicked system, Babylon tells you there is no law to live by. Do what thou wilt. So we got all kind of whoredom going on. Verse 19, and they shall immerse him in 100 shekels of silver, and give them unto the father of the damsel, because he hath brought an evil name upon a virgin of Israel. And she shall be his wife, and he may not put her away all his days. So you see the punishment that goes along with that? If this woman was a virgin and everything was done in righteousness, and then this man turn around and want to dog this woman out, there was punishment to be paid. He would be publicly whipped and humiliated. He would have to come out of pocket probably a year's worth of money, 100 shekels of silver, to be paid to the father for bringing a bad name and dishonor to this man's house and against his daughter. And then it would be forced to, guess what? You can never divorce this woman because of what you've done. So even from that day forward, if she turns around to hate that man, to show him no respect, to cause all kind of hell in that man's life, guess what? You're never allowed to divorce her because of the wickedness that you did, trying to bring a bad name against this virgin of Israel and dog out one of the virgins of Israel. So that would stop a lot of you whoremongers if this punishment was still in force. Now, to you wicked whore women, verse 20. But if this thing be true, and the tokens of virginity be not found for the damsel, that means you wasn't a virgin. You was getting busy. You was living in pleasure. You were being a whore. Verse 21. Then they shall bring out the damsel to the door of her father's house, and the men of her city shall stone her with stones that she die, because she has wrought folly in Israel, to play the whore in her father's house. So shalt thou put away evil from among you. I'm not the one calling you a whore. The Most High is. So for you women that have played the whore, played the harlot, you got baby daddies, you've had abortions, whatever. Because I know it's a lot of y'all saying there, well, I ain't got no kids. Yeah, but you played the whore and you brought evil among Israel. And then at the time of your marriage, you was trying to play like you was all that. You wanted the Ketubah. You wanted the marriage ceremony. You wanted to consider yourself equal to a wife. You wanted to consider yourself equal to a virgin of Israel. Guess what? You are not. But because she did this, we see the punishment given to her. She was brought to her father's door and stoned to death because she brought evil among Israel. She brought whoredom among Israel. So, bringing us back to the topic, concubine versus girlfriend. So a concubine would be a woman who maybe she did play the harlot, but she humbled herself. She repented. She knew that she had done evil, and she wanted to turn away from her evil ways, and she wanted to have a husband. So she would humble herself and be in the position of a concubine, meaning that she didn't get the benefits that came along with being a virgin. She didn't get the ketubah. She didn't get the marriage ceremony. She didn't get any of that. She didn't get a bride price. She doesn't have a dowry that she's coming in with from her father because she made choices that ruined that. And that's what's going on with you sisters. You sisters made the choice at whatever age you made that choice. Without a husband, without proper order, you went having sex, became promiscuous, bringing whoredom among Israel, among the black community. And then after you've been used up, some of you have kids, some of you don't. is some of you with no kids that have been ran through by 20 and 30 men. You just don't have kids. Whether you was on birth control or whatever, you still played the harlot. Some of you other women got caught up and you have children out of wedlock, and that man left your ass. And a lot of times what happens that we see in this Babylon is so wicked, a lot of you sisters left the man. The man actually wanted to be with you, but you ran him off or you left him. Either way, you've brought whoredom among the black community. And this is why I'm getting on you wicked whoremonger men and you wicked whore women. Because guess what, men? These women aren't having sex with themselves. So you brothers are the ones engaging in fornication with these women. That's you brothers doing that. And it's you wayward women that enjoy it. Yeah, you lived in pleasure. You enjoyed being a whore. And now it's time for it to stop. Now it's time for it to stop. So you women need to humble yourselves because you made those choices. You made those choices. Now, I know some of you are going to be like, well, what about if the woman was raped? Touché. But we know that ain't what's happening. For every one woman who honestly was raped, there's a million of you women out there just choosing to be whores. You weren't raped. And for those of you that were raped, you didn't then live a life of celibacy. You didn't do that. You didn't live a life of celibacy and then keep yourself until a husband covered you. You didn't do that. No, you then used that as an excuse to be a whore. And I know y'all are probably saying, man, Yehuda, that's real harsh. That's real harsh. She was raped. No, you guys keep wanting to make excuses. And as long as we keep making excuses for wicked behavior will continue. And it's time to stop the excuses. It's time to stop the excuses. Now, let's get back to the Encyclopedia Judaica. Now, we're talking about the differences between a concubine and a wife, right? But the main focus of this topic today is concubine versus girlfriend. Now, we've broken it down in here and we've looked at it that a concubine is a woman that is dedicated to one man and she is his wife, but she does not get all of the benefits of a virgin, the Ketubah, the dowry, the bride price. She doesn't get all of those things, okay? We understand that the main reason for this is because the woman is unclean. She's not pure. She's not a virgin. This also covers if a woman was raped. And this is why rape is a big deal in the scriptures. Because when a man rapes a woman, by pure definition, he's now making and forcing her to be a harlot. So a concubine is a wife, but she does not get the benefits of being a virgin. Why? Because she's not a virgin. She's not. So you women need to humble yourselves. You are not in the position to demand anything. You're not in the position to be lofty. That's haughty. You're lofty. You're puffed up, arrogant, snobbish, thinking of yourself more highly than you ought. You think that you compare to a virgin. You think that you deserve being a wife with all of the virgin benefits, yet you're used up. No, baby, you're a concubine. And if the man is righteous, he's still gonna cherish and love and treat you with respect. He ain't dogging you out. But guess what? That righteous man also is not fixing to treat you like a virgin. You're not getting the benefits of a bride price and all of these guarantees and all of this status that you want. No, that's what you wicked women do. You go out and play the harlot, but then you still want to come back and have the pride and the status and everything that you kept yourself pure when you did not keep yourself pure. So you don't get no wedding ceremony. You don't get no wedding feast. You don't get the pride of a virgin. You don't get any of that. But you can still have a husband, and it would be under polygyny, because the man would have a wife or several wives who were pure virgins that would have those benefits. And then the man might also have several concubines who were not virgins, but he still covers and protects them under his wing. Now, let's get into the scripture a little bit more. Let's talk about this whole rape thing, and let's see how the Most High feels about this and what the Most High's commandments are in regard to this. Still here in Deuteronomy chapter 22, let's get to verse 22. So Deuteronomy 22, verse 22. If a man be found lying with a woman married to a husband. Now this woman's not a virgin, she's married, but we see what's going on here. This is adultery. A man is lying with a woman married to a husband. That's adultery. That needs to be thrown in there, because a lot of you foolish people that don't know the Most High, don't know the ways of the Most High, you new to coming into the scriptures, you just getting hip to the fact that you a Hebrew, and now you want to keep all of this Christianity thought process, all of this Western wicked Babylonian pagan system, you want to bring all that in among the Hebrew community, and then you want to try to say, oh, well, if a man have sex with two women, he committed adultery. No, you moron. A man cannot commit adultery unless the woman's married. So if a man be found laying with a woman married to a husband, that's adultery. And what's the punishment for adultery? Then they shall both of them die, both the man that lie with the woman and the woman, so thou shalt put away evil from Israel. But a lot of you whores and whoremongers, y'all out here committing adultery like it's the thing to do. And it's sad, but among our community, this is glorified in the music, talking about I do this and that with your girlfriend, I do this and that with your wife, etc., etc., etc. Glorifying evil in Israel rather than putting away evil from Israel. And this is another reason why we're in this situation we are. We have rebelled against the Most High. And instead of putting away evil, we glorify it. And this needs to stop, especially for those of you that claim you're in the truth. You claiming to be in the truth, you should not be involved in any of this wickedness. Let's keep reading. Verse 23. This is what we want to stick to. If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto a husband. Now we just talked about this betrothal and the Ketubah and how this order would go and all of that stuff. So she's still a virgin. She has not had sex yet, but she's already in contractual agreement to a husband. So in contract, legally, she's already married. The man is just doing his thing, preparing, and he has not yet had sex with his wife. He hasn't gone into her, but she's already his wife. This damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto an husband, and a man find her in the city and lie with her. So she out here in the city, already betrothed to a husband, a virgin, but then a man has sex with her. Verse 24, then ye shall bring them both out unto the gate of the city, and ye shall stone them with stones that they die. The damsel, because she cried not, being in the city. Guess what that means? See, we in the city, y'all got neighbors. I got neighbors. Most people are nosy. Most of the time, walls are paper thin. If a man was coming to rape this virgin or rape a woman among the city, she would scream and cry and struggle and try to fight back so that someone would hear her. But that ain't what happens here in this scripture. No, she went along with it. She was cool with it happening. She was already betrothed to a husband, but she gave it up. And the punishment is to bring them out and be stoned to death. The damsel, because she cried not, being in the city, and the man, because he hath humbled his neighbor's wife. Understand that. Betrothal is marriage. And it's a bunch of you wicked Israelites running out here, especially you women, making agreements to be committed to a man. You guys have not yet come together, but then you women want to turn around and just be like, whatever, because the man told you something that you didn't like hearing. And now you trash the entire agreement. Your word is not your bond. But when a betrothal is made, that's binding. It's binding. It's contractual. It's legal. The marriage is official as soon as the agreement is reached. But we see here the violation of that wife. So thou shalt put away evil from among you. So if the woman was in the city, she was already betrothed, she's a virgin, a man comes on to her, and she allows that to happen, that means she was with it, and they both violated the husband. That's adultery. They get stoned to death. Verse 25. But this is what we want to get to for a lot of you women. Oh, well, what about rape or something like that? The Most High covers this. But if a man find a betrothed damsel, right, a wife basically, in the field, and the man force her and lie with her, then the man only that lie with her shall die. So the punishment is still death. Now imagine if we were actually being obedient to the Most High. This would stop all of this whoring and whoremongering among our people. But our people keep rebelling against the Most High. And most of you women lead the charge in the rebellion. So if a man raped this young virgin who should have already been betrothed to a husband, and he violated her against her will, and she screamed and fought back, the man was supposed to be put to death. Verse 26. But unto the damsel thou shalt do nothing. There is in the damsel no sin worthy of death. For when a man raiseth against his neighbor and slay him, even so is this matter. The Most High letting you know the woman was powerless in this situation. She was doing what she was supposed to be doing, and this man took advantage of her, and there was nothing she could do. She's done no sin, and only the man would be put to death. Verse 27, for he found her in the field, and the betrothed damsel cried, and there was none to save her. So for you sisters that really were raped against your will, you really do have my heartfelt sympathy. And what should have happened is that wicked ass brother should have been stoned to death because he violated you against your will. And whatever the situation that happened, unfortunately, there was no one there to save you. But that shouldn't have happened. And it was wickedness on part of that brother. Verse 28, let's keep getting this word. If a man find a damsel that is a virgin, which is not betrothed. So that means this young virgin ain't married. She hasn't been promised to a man. She's just uncovered. Supposed to be covered under her father's house, but she's yet to be betrothed, okay? And lay hold on her and lie with her, and they be found. So that means basically she was a virgin. This ain't talking about he raped her, okay? You need to understand what's going on here. It says, and they be found. Basically, it's saying this man found a young virgin who don't belong to nobody. And basically, he seduces her and all of that. You know what I'm saying? He kind of, he take her. Verse 29. Then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver. He still had to pay the price of a wife. She was a virgin and he took her. So he had to do what was righteous. So he would pay unto the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife, because he humbled her, and he may not put her away all his days. So y'all understand this? So none of this whoredom is supposed to go on. The Most High ain't cool with none of this whoredom. The woman was already betrothed and a man came on to her. If she was with it and she was down with it, both of them supposed to be stoned to death. The woman was betrothed to a man and the man raped her against her will, and she cried and fought, but there was nobody to help her. Only the man would be put to death because the woman didn't do no wrong. If a man found a virgin and she wasn't betrothed to nobody, and you know what I'm saying, he did some old Rico Suave stuff or something like that and took this virgin, guess what he was supposed to go pay the father and she would be his wife. That's righteousness. And you wicked ass brothers have not done righteously. And you wicked sisters, y'all love these thugs, goons, and these no good men. Y'all avoid the righteous men that'll actually wife you. You have disdain for the righteous man because you hate the Most High. You hate the Most High and you hate his word and you hate his ways. Therefore, you hate the righteous man. And it led you into a life of whoredom. So now that if you supposed to be repented of your whoredom, then you should be honored to have a husband that would take you, and you should be humbled to the position of a concubine because you went playing the harlot. You weren't raped against your will, and if you were, again, my heart felt sympathy. But we know that ain't what's going on with 99% of you sisters. Now, I think we've talked enough about concubine for now. We understand that a concubine is a wife. She is a wife. But she gets the term concubine because she was not a virgin. Most of the time, by her choice, she was not a virgin. Select times because she was raped against her will. And we see scriptural references, but I don't have time to read the entire Bible to you people. You need to study to show yourselves approved. So if the woman was raped, guess what? No man was going to pay the bride price for a woman who was already violated. No man was going to do the marriage supper and feast and all of these things and a ketubah for a woman who was already violated, even if it was against her will. But a man could still have compassion and a man could still love this woman, and he would take her as a concubine and protect and cover her and lead and guide her in righteousness, and she would be his wife. So a concubine is a wife. It is an honorable thing. But let's get to this girlfriend thing, because you women seem to love this girlfriend title, but you hate the concubine title. Let's get some basic definitions of girlfriend. A girlfriend is a female friend or acquaintance, often a regular female companion with whom one is platonic, romantically, or sexually involved. This could be a long-term committed relationship, but this is normally a short-term relationship. You women glorify short-term sexual relationships, girlfriend, but you despise the marriage position, concubine. What does that say about you women? I hear nothing. You glorify the short-term sexual relationship, aka girlfriend, yet you despise the biblically honorable title concubine, which is a wife. You women should be ashamed. Where other titles, as in lady friend, partner, are more commonly used for long-term committed relationships. So if someone actually said, this is my lady friend, or this is my partner, that's a more honorable term because it constitutes a long-term committed relationship. That's more honorable than being a girlfriend, because a girlfriend is referencing a short-term sexual relationship. A girlfriend can also be an admirer, a beau, a suitor, and sweetheart. Let's get some more definitions into girlfriend. Partners in committed relationships are sometimes described as a significant other or simply partner, especially if the individuals are cohabiting. So you see that a significant other, partner, that's falling more into the category of a concubine. However, girlfriend and partner mean different things to different people. The distinctions between the terms are subjective. How the term is used will be ultimately determined by personal preference. So this term is not something that's clearly understood, and it is something that is typically a short-term sexual relationship, girlfriend, that has no honor of marriage. And other terms are more honorable than girlfriend, partner, significant other, lady friend, sweetheart, all more honorable than girlfriend. It's like you women's heads have been so twisted. You have more honor and more respect for the short-term sexual relationship girlfriend, but you have disdain being called a lady friend or a sweetheart or a partner or a significant other. How sad is that? In 2005, a study was conducted of 115 people ages 21 through 35 who were either living together or had lived with a romantic partner. It notes that the lack of proper terms often leads to awkward situations, such as someone becoming upset over not being introduced in social situations to avoid questions. Are you understanding and comprehending this? They did a study, a nice little sample size. People between 21 and 35 years of age that either are living with a sexual partner or had lived with, and the study showed that a lot of breakups and awkward situations and problems among the relationship showed themselves because the lack of a proper term, because you women weren't being wifed up, and a bunch of these men, you wicked brothers out there, enjoyed the sex, but didn't really want to have to introduce to your mama or to your friends or to other relatives or co-workers or something like, oh yeah, this is my, y'all know how that go. You go to a function, you chopping it up. Oh, hey, what's going on, man? Such and such, whatever the case is. Or you come around family or something, and then, oh, who is this with you? Oh, well, that's, awkward situations. Let's keep reading here. It notes that the lack of proper terms often leads to awkward situations, such as someone becoming upset over not being introduced in social situations. Yeah, exactly what I just described. There exists some ambiguity between the terms girlfriend or a friend who is a girl and girlfriend. The transition between the two is a significant aspect of adolescent development. That means you people are running around here still with an adolescent mindset. You are not acting as mature women and mature men, because men take wives. Women are wives. Whether you're a concubine, for you ladies who are not virgins, or whether you're a full wife for the sisters who remained virgins until their wedding night. Either way, mature women fall in one of these categories, concubine or full wife, both of which are honorable biblical wives. But you women don't want to do that. You keep running around with an adolescent mindset, and you wicked men have not become mature men taking wives because you don't want the responsibility. And if you don't want the responsibility, you ain't supposed to be having sex with none of these women, because then you fall into these other things we talked about, whoremongers and whoredom and adulteries and harlotries. This stuff is to be punished by death. Let's get into the etymology so y'all can see some more of this. The word girlfriend was first used in 1863. Pause. That means before 1863, this ain't even heard of from a righteous biblical perspective. There's no such thing as a girlfriend in the Bible. Dating, girlfriend, trying women out women you trying different men, all that is straight whoredom, harlotry, wickedness, punished by death to get the wicked and the evil out of Israel, out of the black community. 1863, the word girlfriend first used as a woman's female friend in youth. That's the etymology, how the word was first used in 1863. In 1922, the word girlfriend was used to mean a man's sweetheart. Sweetheart, understanding what we just broke down, would be a long-term sexual female partner, basically a concubine, without actually having the official honor of concubine, because a concubine is a wife. So the man basically didn't want to wife you. And since the man didn't want to wife you, but it was a long-term sexual relationship, it was like you was this sweetheart, which in 1922 kind of became to be known as a girlfriend because he didn't want to marry you. The word dating entered the American language during the Roaring '20s. Prior to that, courtship was a matter of family and community interest. What the hell I've been talking about for like an hour. According to the scripture, there was no dating, there was no girlfriend. All of that is wicked as hell. There was courtship, and courtship or betrothal was a family and community matter. Starting around the time of the Civil War, courtship became a private matter for couples. So all the way through history, up until the Civil War, courtship was a community interest. The black community did not have this whoredom going on. It was a community interest. The man had to go to the father, or the families came together. The community came together, and things were done with honor. But around the time of the Civil War, the courtship became private between the couples. 1863, we see this word girlfriend first being used. The word dating first entered during the Roaring '20s. This is where we finally see the beginning of the whoredoms among our people. The Roaring '20s. Dating. Oh, yeah, I'm just dating homegirl. That ain't my wife, but yeah. All of that wickedness. Now, this video has gone on much longer than I originally anticipated, but I found it to be a great necessity to get in depth with this. Polygyny, concubine versus girlfriend. Ladies, women, sisters, listen. It is an honorable thing according to the ways of the Most High. According to the scripture, it is an honorable thing to be a concubine. A concubine is a wife. Simply means that you weren't a virgin when you came into the marriage. And because you weren't a virgin, you don't get the extra benefits that are reserved for virgins. Yes, there is something significant and special that is reserved for women who were kept as virgins, for women that on their wedding night had their virginity intact. And for sisters, for whatever reason, you made the bad choice. Your father wasn't there. Your mama was a thought. Single parent motherhood, all of these problems we see in the black community, guess what? We have a chance to end that. It's our time to put a stop to that. So men, be men. If you're gonna lay down with a woman, you need to wife that woman. If she ain't a virgin, then you need to be understanding you taking that woman as a wife. Yes, she falls in the category of concubine, but she is still your wife. You do not get to just play games with her, use her up and then toss her off. Women, humble yourselves. You humbling yourselves before the Most High. And when a woman truly loves the Most High and she's humbled herself before the Most High, then guess what? She humbles herself to her man. There is no dating. There is no girlfriend. There is no any of this foolishness. That's wickedness. It's whoredom and harlotry. Women, be wives. Men, be husbands. For all you sisters out there, Y'all need to get with the program of polygyny, because when you go against it, you are going against the word and prophecy of the Most High. We are in the last days, and guess what that means? That means the prophecy of the Most High is that polygyny will be a necessity in these last days. And not sure if y'all don't understand the problems in the black community, but with the exception of a handful of people, our entire race, our entire nationality, our entire community as a whole are deeply impoverished because we have rebelled against the Most High and because we have rebelled against His ways. But in these last days, He's given us a chance, men, to man up and be husbands. Women, fall under the bounds of polygyny and submit yourself to a righteous husband and rebuild the communities and rebuild the nation. A concubine is an honorable woman who is a wife. She made mistakes in her past, but now she's a wife. Maybe she was raped, but she's humbled herself under a righteous man as her head. But for those of you that refuse, that want to continue in your whoredom, and you want to continue being whoremongers, you wicked men, the Most High has judgment on the way for you. And with that being said, it's been real. This is Real Talk with Yehuda. Polygyny, concubine versus girlfriend. I'll catch y'all next time. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave comments. Hell, thumb down if you didn't like it. Share it on social media. But in any event, I'll holler at y'all next time. Peace.